Welcome to Church Chats, a video podcast where we talk to friends about faith, life, and church. I'm your host, Clint Church, and today we've got a very special friend of mine, Reverend DeAndrea Dare. Welcome, DeAndrea.
Thank you, Clint.
DeAndrea is an ordained elder in the United Methodist Church. Let's see, what else are you? You are you're president and CEO of A Memory Grows.
I'm the executive director.
I'm going to go with
of A Memory
CEO.
Grows.
I'm going to go with CEO. And an old friend from years and years and years ago. I didn't mean to just call you old.
Years ago.
Years and years
Yes.
ago. So welcome.
Thank you for insulting me at the very beginning.
I always have to start with an insult with you. So DeAndrea, how long have we known each other? When did we first meet?
Clearly a long time.
Yes.
You were two.
I
When
was
I
not
heard you were
two.
two. If I was old, you were two. We met at lunch at annual conference back in the early 2000s. So we've known each other a long time now.
And you just got back from annual conference.
I did.
It was good.
And you weren't there.
I wasn't. I'm so happy that I wasn't there.
It was good. It was very good.
I was there last year, so that counts.
Because
I
it was
guess.
here.
Yeah, exactly. So
was very good.
So years and years ago, I guess it was annual conference, and I think we figured it out. I think I was a freshman. I was either 8th grade or 9th grade, and I was one of the youth delegates, which they do at annual conference. I was there with one of my pastors, Beverly Ty, who she married my wife and I. She baptized our oldest daughter. She's just near and dear to my heart, and she's also near and dear to your heart.
She is.
That's where I was with her, and she was like, "Oh, DeAndrea's here. Let's go grab lunch." And that was I think it was my first annual conference, so I'm pretty sure.
Really?
Oh yeah, I had never been to annual conference before. And the youth, they put them on the first row
Yeah,
up there
I remember
back in the
that.
day, because they don't want
Yeah.
you. Well, back then we didn't have the cell phones, but they don't want you dozing off or whatever. And it's something that you could doze off at when you're in 8th grade. So
I'm pretty sure you were in college.
at that point,
When were you in college?
2005.
Okay, maybe you were a senior going into college.
Maybe
It was the summer in
Maybe.
between.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
that's what it was.
Our timelines are all off. This is terrible. We're wasting
We've
everybody's
known each other
time.
a long time. That's all
Yes.
that matters.
Yes, we have. Well, for the first time we actually really got to working together, though, was at Aledo UMC in 2011, and we got to work together for maybe 2 years. It might have just been a little over one. But this is actually one of the first memories I have of you, and that's you, me, and Trudy Smith, out in New Orleans. We were in Slidell.
We were in New Orleans.
Your
We
stomping
were-
grounds.
Well, that's South Louisiana. I was from
okay.
North Louisiana.
Gotcha.
It's a little different.
Okay. It is?
It's very different.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Look at you. You didn't have any facial hair.
Yeah. Thank you, Allie. Yeah.
Sweet little Clint.
Yeah.
And I didn't have bags under my eyes.
Well,
but
see,
yes.
now you both you and I have the bags under our
We
eyes.
do.
And I hide I have a little chin, so that's why I hide this. I normally wouldn't show this picture to anybody, but you sent it to me, and I was like, oh, geez.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I guess I have to add that in. This was on mission trip. It was a college mission trip, and this
Yes,
is I had
that's
been
right.
at Aledo UMC. I came in as the youth minister in March of 2011, and Trudy was the former youth minister and was moving into children's ministry.
That's right.
And so I came in, and she knew all these college kids, all the former students from the youth group. And
Yeah.
I'd been there for like 3 months. And so I got to help co-lead with Trudy, and we had just the best time, and we bonded so quickly, just kindred spirits. But then I really got to know you on this trip, because did y'all drive in, or you
We
fly
drove in.
Oh,
No, we flew. That's right, because it took
Fancy,
us forever
fancy.
to get home because the
Oh,
flight kept geting canceled.
gotcha.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We flew in.
Well, yeah, this is what I remember. You stayed for a couple days.
We did.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
helped work on the site. We were all on this one site, and it was this home that was still damage from Katrina.
Yeah.
And it was such a fun trip because I always remember thinking that it was in youth ministry, you hang out with junior high kids and high school kids. I was 24 in this picture, and so these college students are really more like my friends, and especially today, like I'm still friends with many of them. But it was such a great trip, and I just remember really getting to know you so well on this trip, and that we really bonded over our love for the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas
Specifically.
Mavericks. Yes. Because
one player.
Yes, Dirk Nowitzki.
Yes.
Or Nowitzki, however you want to pronounce it. I think
41.
Nowitzki. 41. It's the best. Well, and especially we bonded so much on that trip and that couch. I remember that couch. I remember that couch because it was 2011 and it was May. I think that was May. And we were in the Western Conference Finals against the Oklahoma City Thunder. And we were down by, gosh, it must have been 20, 25 points. I'll have to look this up, and I'll get you all the stats, Allie. But everybody in there was like, no, this is terrible. We're not going to win. It's horrible. And the Mavs, with Dirk at the helm, took us to the promised land that game, came back, and we won. And I kept saying, we have to believe, DeAndrea. We have to believe.
There were 1,500 people on that couch.
It felt like it,
and we were all glued to the TV.
Yes.
You were chanting. We had to believe.
Oh, we had to
It
believe.
was great. It was great. And we won. We jumped up. And, yeah.
So much fun.
Good days.
Well, okay, so we're going to talk later
Yes.
about our crazy Mavs fanatic fandom, diehard fans. Diehard this year for sure, right?
Yeah.
It was rough.
It was real rough.
Okay.
Yeah, it was real rough.
All right, so we'll talk
I'm losing my fandom.
don't say you have to believe, DeAndrea. Okay, so we'll get back to that later. But I do want to talk a little bit about. Hang on, where are we? Oh, there we are. Okay. I want to talk about your backstory. I want to tell our viewers and listeners a little bit about you, where you grew up, how you got connected to the church, and where you, at some point along the way, I'm assuming, felt a call to ordain ministry. There's lots of things you have to go through, lots of schooling, all of that. Where did you feel that call? And tell us a little bit about that backstory.
So I'm originally from Illinois, a small town in southern Illinois, but moved around a lot as a child. Mm-hmm. Landed finally in Bossier City, Louisiana. Bossier City. And went to junior high and high school, and then went to Louisiana Tech after that. But I was kind of born into the United Methodist Church. Mm-hmm. My mom was the church secretary at the time in our little congregation in Mount Vernon, Illinois. And so I went to church to work with her. Every day.
You were just there
so
all the time.
I was there all the time. Yep. And so my grandma went there. It was just, that's just kind of, when I think about my earliest memories, they are in the church with my mom, in her office with bookcases like this, but they were covered in books, not sports memorabilia.
Yeah.
But, I
read books sometimes.
You used to read a lot. I know. I don't know if you still do, but I'm sure you do.
Kids
You are a
well-educated
man.
Sure.
Yeah. And so then we went to church everywhere we lived. And then ended up in Bossier. And I was real active in the youth group back then, because I'm so old. It was the United Methodist Youth Fellowship.
Ah, yes.
UMYF.
Yes.
Yeah, UMYF, yeah. And so I was real active, and I did lots of things. My first job was playing the piano for the children's choir at the church. That was my first paying job. And when it came time for Youth Sunday, my senior year, actually my junior year, I was asked to preach. I wrote my sermon, and someone had to deliver it for me because I was in the hospital with a kidney stone.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, yay. And so,
so they just
senior
read
year-
it. They just read it off.
They read it, and
What a proud moment for you.
I pray for the people that had to hear it. And so then, sadly, they must not have had many choices, because the next year they asked me to do it again.
Oh, nice.
I
Okay.
didn't have a kidney stone for an excuse. So, so I did that, and I remember people coming out and saying, oh, congratulations on graduating, and you're going into ministry, right? And I was like, what? No way. No. I was like, what planet are they from? Why would I go into ministry? I was going to be a physical therapist. I knew that I wanted to work in the hospital. I knew I wanted to be on the patient care side somehow. And so that was my goal. Never in my life did I think I'd go into ministry, because all of my pastors had been really big men, and then you put a black robe and they were big, like larger than life, and they had these
take up lots of
booming
space.
voices, that were spoke for God, and I'm just this goofy. I was real little back then, not so much
back
anymore,
then,
but yeah, back then, and like less than 100 pounds, and
gosh,
talk the way I talk,
Sure.
and no way would I ever go into ministry. And so went to Louisiana Tech, the degree program that I was enrolled in for physical therapy changed to a master's degree. They send me a letter that says you must choose another degree path. Okay, what am I going to do? So I went for physician's assistant.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
sure, why not?
Still in the hospital.
Still in the
and
hospital,
yeah.
still caring for people. Yeah, and at that same time, the associate pastor from the church in Bossier, who I was very close to, said, hey, there's this conference in Dallas. I want you to go to it. Church will send you. It's about young people considering ministry. And I was like, I'm not considering ministry. Because just go. Just go. I was like, I'm going to work in the hospital. He was like, DeAndrea, just go. It's a free trip. Just go to Dallas.
Free trip to Dallas. Great.
Okay, so I finally gave in and went. And it was there that I finally realized that, indeed, maybe I was called to ministry, but in a different way than I had ever envisioned.
Yeah.
And so I really, honestly, answered that call to ministry kind of at that conference, went back. I did change my degree.
Well, you had to.
I did. To get out all that science stuff. And with the goal of going to seminary, and with the ultimate plan of working as a hospital chaplain.
Which you did.
Which I did.
Yeah.
Which I did, and which I always thought that I would do again.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's the story.
Very cool. Well,
Yeah.
and it's funny that you say things like you always envision working in the hospital, and yet you also have these people telling you, well, you're going into ministry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like the dots eventually connect.
They all came together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember there was a book.
So you did read.
See, I did read. At one point I read, but it was all about Nehemiah. And in at the beginning of it, who wrote that book? Oh my gosh. Anyway, well, the book of Nehemiah. But all about how you can see at the beginning where he goes to the king to what did Nehemiah do?
You're doing a great job telling it.
This is terrible. But he goes to the king because his heart, he felt for the people his people who were dying.
Yes.
And he mustered up the strength to go because he felt it in his heart. And it was almost like God, one of the lines in that book, and I'll have to find the book and I'll give it to you, Allie, and you can be like, here's what Clint was trying to say. But that God is always working in the background.
Absolutely.
Always working in the background of our lives, whether we know it or not at the time. And so when you said that about because I knew you when I first met you as, she does all the hospital visits all the time. Like she lives there. I feel like she's just always at the hospital. It was
my happy place.
And so when you said that I didn't know you wanted to be a physical therapist and work in the hospital, and that, to me, that's just such a God's working in the background, plants these thoughts, these feelings. I hit my mic. Plants these thoughts, these feelings in you, and then works through you, and it comes true. It's nuts how that works, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
So, well, let's take a break for a minute, and then we're going to come back and talk about the CEO of
Executive Director.
of A Memory Grows, and we're going to talk about her non-for-profit.
Nonprofit.
What about not-for-profit?
That's fine.
You're the CEO of a
501c3.
of a not-for-profit organization called A Memory Grows. We'll be back with DeAndrea Dare in just a minute.